Nottingham Forest are safe. I bet you didn't think I'd be saying that at the start of the season. I definitely bet you didn't think I'd be saying that it was off of the back of a victory against the mighty Arsenal. Today we're going to be going through what Nottingham Forest did so well and how Steve Cooper's boys managed to pull off one of the results of the season against Mikel Arteta's mighty Arsenal to guarantee their Premier League survival for yet another year. Please like the video and subscribe, it really would mean lots to me. But now, let's talk about how Nottingham Forest beat Arsenal. Here we have both of the sides. We have Nottingham Forest on the left and we have Arsenal on the right. Before we even start to get into the tactics, I want to mention the team lineups and specifically the changes that both managers made in their lineups to be able to try and get the best out of their squads. Let's start off with Nottingham Forest. They came out with a back three. I really like this. I like the back three, physical, dynamic, and they have the ability to really press up against certain attackers. Then you have Aurier and you have Lodi, who are very good, very mobile. They can move into midfield whenever they need to fill some gaps. Yates and Mangala are very aggressive as well, and you're noticing this as well. The aggression that came from Nottingham Forest came from these defensive players, their ability to really push into midfield. Then you have the front three of Danilo, who's been very impressive, Gibbs-White, who is their main talisman at the moment, and Awoniyi, who got the main goal. If we have a look at Arsenal, I've got to say I've got some question marks about this side. And I've got some question marks about the team selection that Mikel Arteta decided to put out. First of all, why is Thomas Partey playing right back? I mean, this is just very odd to me. Second of all, why is Kiwior playing left back? Is he a left back? I don't think he is, so why is he playing there? Why is Ben White being moved away from right back where he's had his best position? Why is Jorginho back in the side when you have Thomas Partey who's currently fit? A lot of these questions are just very difficult to try and answer when you look at what Mikel Arteta is trying to do, and this has a knock-on effect to some of the problems that Arsenal have later on in the game. Granit Xhaka doesn't want to really go forwards, and he doesn't want to go forwards because of the lack of defensive capabilities that he feels like Kiwior has on this left-hand side. Now, this is down to Gibbs-White, and particularly the way he likes to drive forwards. When him and Awoniyi go forwards, it makes it very difficult for the Arsenal defence to really try and stop them going through. If you think about when Arsenal were counter-attacked on by Gibbs-White and Awoniyi, it was down to a pass from Odegaard who came into midfield. It got intercepted and then they broke forwards. Kiwior didn't have the pace to be able to get back, and so I think that played in Granit Xhaka's mind, and it just meant that he didn't want to drive forwards that much. Then you have a look at Trossard. Now, I like Trossard as a player, however, in this Arsenal setup, they need to make sure that they're staying wide, much like Bukayo Saka does a lot of the time. Aurier and Lodi are not exactly the most defensively sound of players, however, they're making up the numbers, and because of the extra 5 midfielders, or the extra 5 defenders that Nottingham Forest have, it means that necessarily their defensive capabilities aren't needing to be as good as if they were playing right or left back. But Trossard does not make or does not take any kind of advantage of the situation, and instead he starts just drift infield. We can see this from the average positions that they picked up. Him and Gabriel Jesus stay far too close together, and they really do leave this left-hand side of the pitch completely wide open. They almost give Aurier a free pass, and that's very strange considering how bad Aurier is sometimes defensively. Offensively, he's quite good, but normally with the ball, if you start to pressurise him, he starts to really become quite unstable and untrustworthy. But they didn't decide to try and go for it. Not only did they not have an attacking left back to try and battle him, they also didn't have an attacking left winger to try and battle him. Martinelli isn't available, yes, that's fine, but they never actually tried to go at him and tried to beat him. Instead, they tried to go through the middle of the park where most of the defenders are, and it just seemed like quite a baffling idea tactically. Jorginho didn't really have the mobility or the pace in his passing to be able to break down some lines, and what ended up happening was something that Nottingham Forest were very, very comfortable with, and it looked a little bit like this. Now, this is down to some of the average positions that both Nottingham Forest and Arsenal picked up. What ended up happening through a lot of the game is that Nottingham Forest dropped back into this back 5. So you see the 5 here. But what happened is that Arsenal couldn't really deal with it. Partey out on this right back position didn't have the mobility to really start to overlap Saka. Saka was staying a little bit too wide, which meant that Partey had to go inside. And then Saka would come back because he ended up running into a cul-de-sac. He passed to Odegaard, who weren't able to find, or Odegaard and Jesus weren't able to find the spaces in between the lines of these Nottingham Forest players, because what Nottingham Forest realised was that if they stayed back in a compact shape, Arsenal would find it difficult with the amount of defenders to be able to get through and break the lines, which is, we know, how Arsenal like to do their play. But Gabriel Jesus didn't make any kind of infield runs through behind defenders. It was all very, very static, and this is also not helped by the fact that Jorginho and his pace of passing didn't really help things. The lack of width from Trossard meant that they weren't able to switch play as much as possible, and then you have the problem with Kiwior at left back. It all became a little bit one-dimensional, and it stopped Arsenal from really being able to dominate the game and penetrating a way that we know they can play. And it ended up just becoming very stale. Odegaard wasn't able to get into the game, and the one time he was able to get into the game, they tried to find some kind of joy, and they did. But it was very few and far between, and while they had a lot of possession, Arsenal weren't really able to do anything. Ben White, who has been very good at right back, was just left with Gabriel, and while they were okay together, I thought that Gibbs White and Awoniyi did a very good job of making those counter-attacking runs. And this is what Nottingham Forest wanted. They understood that they couldn't go to Arsenal or against Arsenal in a man-v-man basis, so they made it difficult for Arsenal to play. They put the advantage in their corner. Because of the way they defended, they knew that they would fight. And I've got to say, that's one thing that I was extremely impressed with from a Nottingham Forest point of view. The fight, the determination and the grit that Nottingham Forest showed in the face of adversity, in the face of something like 82% possession, was absolutely ridiculous. Arsenal had most of the ball, but the mentality in this Nottingham Forest side, drilled in by Steve Cooper, really allowed them to maintain their focus, maintain their positions, and then once they did get those transitional plays, they were able to play through Gibbs White, through Awoniyi, and that's where the goal came from. Very good positional play. Gibbs White is a fantastic young player. His mentality has been questioned on occasion, but really Steve Cooper has banked on the £40 million man picking something up and really trying to make something happen, and that's exactly what happened in this game. Yes, they got a little bit fortunate with the ricochet that came off Gabriel, but I think due to the work ethic and due to the effort that Nottingham Forest put into the game, I think they earned that bit of luck. Yates was very good at being aggressive on Trossard and Odegaard, as was the entirety of the Nottingham Forest midfield, and really this is how the game played out. Nottingham Forest were very happy, they were comfortable defending, and Arsenal just couldn't break them down. They struggled to really make any kind of inroads through the middle of the park, which is where they seemed to be gravitating towards, instead of making, as I said, those inroads on the side of the pitch. Bukayo Saka seemed rather isolated, if you have a look at the average positions, by the way that they tried to play. He seemed isolated from Thomas Partey not being supported, from Odegaard not really finding him, and then they tried to go through the middle of the pitch, which didn't really work. Arsenal played into Nottingham Forest's hands, yes, but Nottingham Forest needed to have the game plan to be able to make it work, and it was through that transitional play, through the determination in the defence, that they were able to really get the best of this high-flying Arsenal team, who, yes, are looking quite, I would say, quite downbeat and quite downhearted, but you would have thought that to stop Man City from winning the title, they would have tried to do their very best to get that win, and it wasn't to be. Nottingham Forest dug in, they fought hard, they fought well, and in the end, I think they were worthy winners. Based on the amount of aggression they had, based on the amount of quality they had on the ball, it was more quality than Arsenal were able to show in the 90 minutes that they played, and really, I think Nottingham Forest thoroughly deserved that win. I think people are far too quick to criticise Arsenal for the way they wanted to play, but not enough people talk about the way that Nottingham Forest were dogged, the way that they were able to really stabilise that back three, make sure that Lodi and Aurier were able to put everything down the flanks, and then you had that midfield three of Danilo, Mangala and Yates to be able to push that home, Gibbs White and Awoniyi giving that counter-attacking threat, and Arsenal didn't have the answers. For the 90 minutes, Arsenal didn't have the answers to be able to break this Nottingham Forest side down. And the game ended 1-0 to Nottingham Forest. They are safe. Arsenal have given away the title, but Nottingham Forest are safe in the Premier League once more. They thoroughly deserve it. Fantastic. They're going to be in the Premier League for yet another year. And if they show this kind of quality, they won't have to worry about being safe until the last game of the season. They'll be absolutely fine. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe. It really would mean a lot to me. If you would like to support the channel a little bit more, you can do by becoming a channel member. Just hit that join button and you get a whole host of perks, including membership badges and exclusive member videos. If you're interested, press that join button, follow the instructions and become a member of this ever-growing club. And of course, all support is greatly appreciated. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as well on the game that helped Nottingham Forest secure their safety. What did you think of Arsenal? What did you make of Nottingham Forest? And what are you expecting from them come next season? Forest fans, how are you feeling? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. That's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.